Grunts. As usual, I am Dr. Luis Fonseca, a U.S. Navy hospital corpsman. I spent 22 years on active duty. During my tenure in the Navy, I was involved in the Battle of Al Nazariya, which infamously became known as Ambush Alley. Uh, During that time in that battle event, due to my actions, I was awarded the Navy Cross. As usual, please, please, please do not forget. Although we do have Doc Barry as one of our hosts on here, he is not here to provide any type of medical or psychological treatment plans or diagnosis. If you see the need that you need to get some help, please, please, please always refer back to your primary care physician and your mental health team. Um, Up next is my partner Nate. Sorry, God.
Hey, I'm Nate. I'm your token grunt. 33 years in the DoD. I did 12 years enlisted in the Marine Corps, 10 years as an officer. The rest of the time, I was a contractor or government civilian. And I was in a desert storm in Mogadishu, Somalia. And I'd ask that if you haven't done it yet, click like and hopefully subscribe if you're liking what you're hearing from us. And next, Doc Barry will introduce our guest and himself.
Hi, folks. I'm Andrew Barry, also known as Doc Barry. I am a psychologist and psychoanalyst, and I specialize in working with veterans and first responders fighting with post traumatic stress disorder and related mental health issues. Tonight's guest is the one and only Jeff Butler. He is a Somalia veteran, Marine Corps, spent 4 years in. And normally, hey, Jeff, normally Nate does the military bio because he speaks the acronym language and I don't. He did, for whatever reason, didn't receive it. So I'll do the best I can. And if I mangle it, just square me away. Okay.
It's been 30 years.
MO, this is going to be fun. All right. MOS is 5811. MP, presumably military police. MPCO, military police command. First, FSSG, I don't know what that is. And HQ, headquarters services battalion. Is that it, Jeff?
Yep. First FSSG. FSSG was Forward Service Support Group. I mean, as an MP in the field, we were pretty much grunts with a badge, but we got shot at by both sides.
Perfect. That qualifies. Like I was telling you last night, you qualify. You more than qualify to be here. Anyway, on a personal note, I met Jeff upwards of 20 years ago on another website, and he has been since day one, square one, totally behind the mental health message. He's been very supportive of the work that we've been trying to do, and lucky to have him on tonight, Jeff. Appreciate you being here. Really do.
Thank you. Appreciate
All
it.
righty. Yeah. So anyway, what we try to do with this is we don't go to any place you don't want to go. These are nice, just free-flowing discussions, and I know sometimes it's hard for people to talk. This won't hurt. At least we hope it won't. We don't think it will, and hopefully the ideas and the conversation will start to roll. So anyway, one of the things that and I try to start this with a thought-provoking question. Now, I don't know if you've heard me tell this story, what I'm about to tell. Nate and Luis have heard it too many times, which is why they're going to fall asleep. But I'm going to tell you the story. And I just want to see where you go with it. All right?
Yep.
I started my career as a diagnostician in a state-run Supermax many moons ago. And that was a gig where I would check an inmate's rap sheet, interview him for maybe an hour, check testing results, and then I'd type up a report, suggest programs, and send him on his way, which has everything to do with fast food classification and not much to do with mental health. But anyway, one guy came in and he was a Vietnam veteran, and I checked his rap sheet like I'm supposed to, and if I recall correctly, just about every charge was alcohol related, DWI, domestic violence, the whole thing. And really what this guy did was he drank his way out of his own life and wound up catching his first federal charge. Now, when I'm talking with the combat guys, when I think they're comfortable with it, I will ask them, who do you miss the most? Right. And normally what they'll do is they'll tell me about their brother or, God forbid, their sister cut in half right in front of them by machine gun fire, blown up, um, shot by mortar or some horror tale. And I asked that question of this inmate, expecting that as my answer. So, but I got a surprise. So I said to him, who do you miss the most? And the color surged to his face. He burst into tears. The veins were sticking out of his neck and his forehead. And he half shouted at me. He said, Doc, said, I miss me. I used to be a nice guy. And in that simple sentence, what that man gave me was a clinical gift that's priceless. It was given to me, and I give it to as many folks as I possibly can as a way of getting a discussion going, an honest discussion about post-traumatic stress. So my question to you is, do you resonate even a little with that story?
Oh
I'm
yeah,
gonna shut my-
definitely.
Oh, go ahead, talk.
Well, so I finally figured out what it was that was causing me to do all my drinking and all that shit. Oops, sorry. All that stuff.
You're good. We don't censor on here.
Okay. So I finally realized what it was that caused me to do all my drinking and trying to forget all the bullshit and everything. And it was I mean, we saw all that bullshit in Somalia. They Somalians didn't give a rat's ass about Somalians. They didn't give a rat's ass about anybody. And I live in Iowa, just south of Minnesota, and the biggest, sorry, I having to deal with having to. I hear all the stories about the Minneapolis, and Minneapolis is where the biggest joint body of Somalians is located. And I hear stories about, oh, some dude walked into a store and stabbed 14 people, and or the guy that threw the kid off the fifth story of the that big shopping mall up there, the Mall of America. He threw a 5-year-old kid off the fifth story of the friggin' deal. And it's like, you know what? It's gonna turn out that was a Somalian dude. And I hate being I don't like to stereotype people, but they always say a person a black person in Minneapolis, St. Paul did this. I'm like, no, it's gonna end up being a Somalian dude because he doesn't give a shit about life. And more times than 99% of the time, that's what it is. And I mean, we saw teenagers cutting up other teenagers, throwing them into, hacking them up into pieces and throwing them off. That didn't bother me. I mean, they wheeled a dude up with a gunshot wound, and it looked like somebody took a pencil and poked him right near the bridge of his eye or the bridge of his nose. And the whole back of his head was just gone, and it sucked everything out. And it's like they brought him up for us to save him. It's like, there ain't no saving that son of a bitch. And all that I could deal with, but with the civilian contractors taking the food from the port to inland to the people that really needed it, because Mogadishu was full of fat bastards that didn't need any more food at all. They were just holding all the food back so that nobody inland could get it. And so we went, that's the whole reason we went there, was to get the food from the port inland to the people that needed it. Well, the civilian contractors that were taking the food from the port into the people that needed it were hiring Somalians to do labor and be their interpreters and be their security. And the sad thing is, and this didn't really bother me either. Well, it bothered me because I knew that they'd probably go out and shoot at us that night, but their security would come in and we'd have to check their weapons at the gate, let them go in, do whatever the hell they were doing on the port, and when they left, we had to give them back to them. But one of these civilians had a contractor, or had contracted a Somalian, and the Somalian must not have thought he was getting paid enough or something was wrong. So he jumped on this guy's flatbed and grabbed the steering wheel, and it hit a wall, and he was playing possum, and the guy loaded him up on the back of the truck and brought him to us. And evidently this guy thought that we were going to take care of him at a military hospital. Well, no, we loaded him up. 4 of us loaded him up in the back of a Humvee and took him to a Somalian hospital. Well, in Somalia, it was divided up. This warlord had this area. This warlord had this area. This warlord had this area. And if you were part of this warlord's clan, you didn't go into this clan's area. Otherwise, they'd straight up kill you. Well, we pulled up to the hospital, loaded him onto a gurney, and they wheeled him in. And as we were pulling out, you heard him open up with an AK-47 inside the hospital. And it didn't click with me until about 6 years ago. I was sitting there and I was like, holy fuck, we took that dude to get killed. And that's that. As soon as I realized that was my trigger, and it really didn't trigger until I was like, holy shit, that's my kryptonite, or whatever the hell you want to call it. And I figured that out, and I'm like, I dealt with it, and ever since then I've cut down on my drinking. I'm living a hell of a lot better than I was. And it's just the damnedest thing that it popped into my head 25 years after the fact. That's what's causing you to be a jackass. And I guess I talk too much.
No, I wanted to add something for context. I know, Jeff, you know what you're saying, and all the other Somalia vets know. But for the average person, just for people to be aware, a fat Somali is still a skinny American. So,
oh yeah,
compared to the emaciated Somalis that were out west of the border, or not border, the coastal cities, everybody out there was like you saw on TV with bulging stomachs because they were so malnourished. But yeah, in Somalia they were still thin, but they were fat for Somali.
Yeah, well, Jesus, when it was 120 degrees Christmas Day, you couldn't gain any weight in that friggin' shithole.
Oh yeah, and humid.
Oh, there were some amazing sunrises and sunsets there at the port, but the other shit that I saw there,
Which port?
I was at the new port where they were bringing in the grain and all that, all the rice and all.
In Newport, Mogadishu, or Newport, Kismayu, or.
I was in Mogadishu, the brand new port there with a seaplane hangar and all that shit. The one that they. So we landed and we went to the port and took it from the landing team.
Oh, okay.
And then we scraped 3 inches of bird shit out of the airplane, the seaplane hangar, and lived there for a month until somebody came in and said, "Oh, this looks nice. Beat it." So we went and found another place, And a month after we got into that, somebody came in. Oh, this looks nice. Beat it. So we kept getting until finally we were in the police department, or we were in the police building at the very front of the port, within rock's throw of the friggin' Somalians. And so right across the street from us was the sugar plantation, I think. We were the one. We were in the port that had the condex boxes all around three high, all the way around it. It was right down from the prison.
Yeah, I didn't get to see that until I didn't get to see the condex boxes till we left, because when we got there, it still hadn't been built up, and I didn't even recognize it by the time we left.
Well, no, the condex boxes were up when we got there, and they took them down. We were there for the first 3 months, and then they sent us back, and the Army took over the security of the port, and they took the condex boxes down, and that's when a Somalian threw a grenade into the seaplane hangar and wounded like 10 guys.
Yeah.
I got a
go ahead.
I got a question, since we got 2 Somali vets on here. I don't think we've ever really gone over this. For us that came into the service a little later in life, or aren't history buffs, what was the U.S. government's, not necessarily just yours, Jeff, or yours, Nate, but what was the U.S. government's mission? Why did we deploy troops to Somalia? What was the reasoning behind that?
Do you want the reason they told the public, or the reason we know now?
I would love both, actually.
Well, I'll let Jeff talk about what they told us when we went.
Well, what they told us was we were going over there to help the people that were starving, and yeah, I'm sure they were starving, but it was because the people at the port were holding all the food back from going into them. But then what I heard was there was oil or some shit like that there, and that's why they sent us.
Well, yep. I am unmuted. Yeah, so the oil, I'd forgotten about the oil part. Yeah, so there were 7 different oil companies waiting to drill in Somalia, but without a government in place, they couldn't drill. I don't know how much of that. I'm sure that was a part of it. But what I learned, I think the second day that I was there, 3-letter organization at the very center of the marine compound of the embassy. We talked to the 2 guys there. They'd already been there for like 6 months, and they were stocked up on MREs, and they were sick. Or no, they were stocked up on MREs. They were stocked up on their whatever food they had brought in on pallets, and they were trading us for the MREs because they were sick of what they'd been eating. And they told me this, and I never told anybody else until it came out of the 9/11 Commission report. In the 9/11 Commission report, the unclassified version, talks about in January of '93. So at the very beginning, they mentioned that Osama bin Laden had called for a fatwa against Americans in Mogadishu. But the guys in that building had told me, and it wasn't Rudy Yarworth. There's another guy who hasn't been on here yet, so I won't give his name. But they told the 2 of us, no, we're here hunting out terrorists. And it came out in the 9/11 Commission report, and it was mentioned very briefly, but nobody openly talked about it until a few years ago. And a few years ago, now it's been more openly talked about. But we, in 1995, there was, that's when they blew up the embassy at Mombasa, Kenya, and another one in Tanzania. So Al Qaeda was already starting back in the 90s.
Oh,
and
okay.
see, I forgot about that. They said that Mogadishu was actually the first time that we dealt with Al Qaeda.
Yeah.
Wow, so it definitely sounds like us as a nation, and I say us, right, because we're American citizens. We all have raised our hand to, to deploy, for this nation. That we use the disguise of providing humanitarian aid in to kind of put people in place, right, to go do other sneaky shit.
Yeah,
Oh,
what I've learned is it's not usually a very, government, right? Nothing is done really well and smooth. I think all of them were true simultaneously. I would imagine the State Department had one mission why they wanted to be there. Some three-letter organizations had other reasons why they wanted to be there. DoD, is looking for operations money and a job to do, right? Because money that comes, for special circumstances is money on top of your regular budget. So I think all of them were true at the same time. But the expectation I know that I had with 3-9, and I know the MEU had when they went in, the Marine Expeditionary Unit, is we were told that we were going to feed starving Somalis. But as far as I know, everybody that stayed in Mogadishu, we never fed anybody. The only time I ever handled a bag of rice was we used it as a bribe to find out just outside the city where that warlord was storing his weapons. Because on top of Al Qaeda being there, and Jeff had mentioned this about how different areas of the city were different tribes. There was Ali Mahdi, General Aidid, forgot the other guy's name. One of the guys he ran their defense. But I think there were 4 different or 5 different tribes.
I thought it was 5.
Yeah, General something else. I can't remember not General ID, but there's another guy.
Well,
it was
Adid's son.
name.
Adid's son came back to the U.S. and friggin' went through boot camp, Marine Corps boot camp.
No way.
Yeah.
And so he was a Marine and went to Somalia. I don't remember what year he was in Somalia, and then after he got out of the Marine Corps, he went back over there and got into government, and then he got killed over there. So,
Oh wow.
He was an interpreter for one of the units over there, and he got sent back to the U.S. and went through Marine Corps boot camp, and yeah, it's and that was Adid's son.
Yeah.
Wow.
So everything that happened there that went wrong, from my point of view, I've noticed are things we no longer do anymore when we go to other countries. There were a lot of bad lessons learned there.
Well, the rules of engagement were the rules of engagement were complete bullshit.
Yeah, do you want to explain what they were when we first got there?
If they have to hit within 8 foot of you for you to return fire. And I'm sorry, but an AK-47 and 8 foot in your ass there ain't enough time to figure out if that's 8 foot or not. So yeah, there were ways around that, but we won't talk about that.
Yeah. In today's world, the combatant commander decides what the rules of engagement are. I believe that was supposed to have been the case back then, but every unit that we would run into had different rules of engagement.
We had a gunny in our unit. He was about as you couldn't measure time by him because he was so slow. This old boy, he talked slow, he moved slow. Everything he did was slow as molasses in January. And I mean, I don't even know where the hell he was from because I couldn't wait around long enough to hear the damn town he was from. That's how slow he talked. But he was walking across our front gate one morning, and they did a Somalian drive-by. They had a Toyota with 3 dudes standing in the back, one hanging out the passenger window with AK-47s, and they just ripped a whole friggin' mag as they drove in front of the gatehouse. And I had just gotten done with my night deal, my night shift, and I was sitting on the front steps of the police headquarters building, getting ready to eat an MRE with my silkies on, my jungle boots, and my M16 across my lap, and my MRE, and I hear that, and I just laid back next to the brick walls, and I remember seeing him walking across that damn gatehouse, and as soon as it stopped shooting, I jumped up and ran across there, loading everything up, getting ready to return fire. But I didn't get a chance because they were already halfway downtown Mogadishu. And I ran over there and he's laying on the ground. And I was like, Jesus Christ, they shot this slow son of a bitch. And I'm like, Gunny, you all right? And he raised his head up as slow as he could. And are they gone? I'm like, Jesus Christ, you dumb son of a bitch. You scared the fuck out of me.
And
After that,
oh, go ahead. You're
no,
good. Go ahead.
no. After that, I ran up to I crawled up on the roof where we had a 50 cal and asked him why the fuck they didn't light that son of a bitch up. And he's like, well, we didn't want to get shot. I'm like, that 50 cal into a Toyota damn engine's going to stop anything, you dumb sons of bitches.
And
After that, Toyota damn engine's going to... We all right? Or...
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just waiting for that echo to stop.
Yeah, sorry about that. That was on my end.
But yeah, go ahead.
We jumped into the middle kind of a bit, but let's give some listeners a little bit of a background. So we'll backtrack and then start working the ends to connect back to where we were. We like to ask people, like, what was your family background as far as military to start with, and like when and why did you decide to join the military, and what brought you to the Marine Corps?
So my dad was the only one in my immediate family, the only one to be in the military. He was Army in Korea. And he was a radar guidance technician. So in Korea, he was so far from the front he probably didn't even smell the kimchi. But I had two uncles that were in the Air Force. One flew B-52s. The other one was a fighter jock that they both served during Vietnam. Let me rephrase that. My one immediate uncle who married my aunt was the bomber. His brother was the fighter jock in Vietnam, and he was actually a guest at the Hanoi. I can't remember if he was governor or a representative out down in New Mexico, but Hughes was his last name. I can't remember his first name, but I had another uncle that was in the Navy. Other than that, I was 18 years old, did a year of college, had a girlfriend break up with me, and I thought, there's nothing for me. I'm going to join the Marine Corps because they're the least likely to have anybody doing drugs. Boy, was I wrong. First week at my unit, I was chasing a dude that got busted for doing steroids. And he was about 6'6", 220 pounds, and he outweighed me and the corporal that were doing the chasing on his ass by, I mean, both of us together probably weighed as much as his ass. And I'm like, what are we going to do with these damn billy clubs besides get our asses beat? But so no, I joined, and I thought if I go into the MPs, I'll get out and be a cop. Well, come to find out, most police departments don't like jarheads that were cops. They'd rather have a grunt than somebody that was an MP. Because and for what reason, I don't know. And then I started drinking and I got into trouble, got some DUIs, and that was, I've had all sorts of jobs. Right now I'm a truck driver with a dog that's trying to give me a kiss. Now, God damn it.
They want to be on the show as well.
Yeah, hold
They
on
got a
just a
story to
second.
tell too.
She might have to go. Well, actually, she probably does. She's a rescue dog. And I figured if anybody needs rescuing besides me, I'm going to try. But I finally, I train horses on the side. That's probably the most satisfying thing for me, is because it's kind of it puts me in a big zen place. Being on the back of a horse is one of the best things for me. And I finally got out of, I was most of my issues were dealing with people being too close and breathing down my neck, and living in town, there's no other way than for them to breathe down your friggin' neck, because your neighbors are so damn close that it ain't even funny. And in January,
go ahead.
In January, I finally bought an acreage, and my nearest neighbor is a mile away. So,
That's all. Oh yeah.
No, that's peace and tranquility right there.
Look at them fields of fire.
oh, I saw that. Oh, what is it? The one with Gerard Butler about the president and his dad. I'm like, I keep telling my buddies, I'm like, hey, I need you to come out and help me get my place ready.
I was going to ask you, so what got you to the horses? Did you do horses before you were in the Marine Corps, or did you go like to the stables at Camp Pendleton when you were on active duty and do anything with horses, or that's something that started after the Marine Corps?
I was 3 weeks old when my parents threw me on my first horse.
Wow.
And I'm more at home on a horse than I am walking, I guess. And
yeah.
And animals, I can't reiterate this enough. Animals are one of the most calming factors in the world.
Oh yeah. I have one of my daughters got involved with horses, and it was amazing to watch. It was amazing. Yeah, well, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, because it's cheaper to own a boat than to own a horse, and but she that kid changed as soon as she started dealing with horses. And I think what helped her a lot was, you know, the horse is going to take all the guidance you give it, you know, once it's been broken. And the change in her was just awesome. And then I watched her learning to break horses. And then we started learning about some of these therapeutic horse programs where you sleep in the stables right above the horses. So all night you can hear them making noises and stuff. And
Oh
the
yeah.
horses making noises with each other. Yeah, it's amazing. I was doing pretty good with it. She was starting to teach me, and then I got thrown off of a horse, and
Well,
then I didn't go back.
I've been thrown. I used to ride saddle bronc, and I had a horse flip over on top of me in the chute. That was probably one of the scariest damn things. That one, and I was on a horse that I was breaking, and she got scared and took off in the round pen, and her feet slid out from under and came down on my leg, and I was like, oh, as she's going down, all I could think of is, this is gonna suck. But the sand was soft enough that it didn't crush my leg.
Yeah. Well, did you ever get a chance to do anything with the horses on Camp Pendleton, or not until after you got out again?
So I was at, you know, the Lepizan color guard that they had there.
Yeah.
I rode on that.
Oh wow.
And I was the only E3 riding on an NCO color guard.
Wow.
So what is that color guard for us that don't know?
Well, the mounted color guard was, we would go to parades and special events and ride the parade event, and it was a American ensign and the Marine Corps ensign with two, and our guards were with NCO swords. So we did NCO. Oh shit! And I'm drawing a big ass brain fart right now. Sword manual. We do sword manual with it, like the salute and all that, and but most of the time it was riding with a sword at the, oh shit. Help me out here. At like not parade rest, but in manual arms, it was.
I was just going to say, you just riding with it in the scabbard.
No, we rode with it out. And, I mean,
Oh,
Is that the I think I've seen pictures that where y'all like you have it held up here or something like that.
No, that would be the salute.
Oh, okay.
It's down by your pocket with it up by your shoulder, kind of like with a rifle at shoulder arms. Shoulder arms.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's not easy to hold for very long. I could never get my thumb in the right way, and my hand would always be tweaking out on me, and I'd get hit on it every time.
Well, when you ride that far, or when you ride with it like that, you find a way to kind of like and lock it in.
Yeah.
And I mean, we practice a shit ton down at the stables, and I can actually say I've ridden a horse in both oceans, because with them we rode down on the beach to keep them in shape. We'd ride them, and because I mean, some of them parade routes were 5 miles long, and we had one guy, he got dumped in a parade, and we're still trying to figure. I still don't know to this day what caused the horse to do it, but the horse freaked out and started spinning, and it had him out, and he looked like one of them circus riders. He was straight the hell out, holding on to they weren't little flags. They were the main, like, what do you call it? For ceremony flags.
Yeah. Was it the garrison flag?
Yeah, the garrison ceremony flag. They were like 4 foot tall by 6 foot long, and
Yeah.
They weigh like 40 pounds. And he was spinning around, and she just stopped, and he went boom off of her and hit the ground. And this one dude caught the flag before it was the Marine Corps colors. They caught that, and he friggin' got up and dusted himself off, and somehow he didn't rip the shit out of his blues, and got back on the horse and finished the route. But yeah, we went all over. We were supposed to go to Cheyenne Frontier Days, but that got canceled.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Jeff, you said this is on board Camp Pendleton that you were
Yeah, it was at Camp Pendleton, but now that unit is no longer there, and they only have one, and they ride Palomino Mustangs.
okay.
We had. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Please. You by all means.
I think they are out of Barstow.
Hmm.
Oh,
And-
yeah, that's something.
And it's actually an MOS now, from what I understand. But the horses that we got were donated by a Chicago steel company, and they got 8 of them, but one of them colicked and died. So we had seven Lepizan mares. And the thing about Lepizans is each one has a trait that's bred into them. I don't know if you know anything about Lepizan horses, but Lepizans are the war horses,
Okay.
and each one has a trait. And like, I forget what they call them, but there's one where it jumps up into the air and it strikes out with its front legs and its back legs, and there's one that gets on its hind legs and hops and strikes with its front legs, and there's one other one that they do, but the one that got spooked did the hopping on the back legs, and then went to spinning and dropped that dude, and it was kind of hairy.
Yeah, I bet. And the staples there in Camp Pendleton, are those the ones that were originated from the famous Sergeant Ruthless?
Reckless,
Reckless, that was his name, Sergeant Reckless.
hers.
Her,
they-
right? Oh, that's right. It was a her.
Get it right now.
Hey, I'm just a dumb squid. You got to remember that.
No,
Hey,
She-
if anybody wants to
she's-
hear the story about Sergeant Reckless, the Fat Electrician does a really good video on Sergeant Reckless.
Yeah,
the
that's how
history
I
of
found
it.
out about her. But go ahead, Jeff.
But go ahead. Jeff.
she's buried right there,
Correct. Yes.
and she had, I think, 2 foals.
Okay.
I've
Yeah,
actually
and in the 90s, every Marine base that I knew of, maybe not the Air Wings, but all the other ones, Barstow, Pendleton, Lejeune, Paris Island, Quantico, they all had stables. And they weren't necessarily just for the color guard for the Marine Corps, but like a lot of people had their own horses.
Right.
And
Oh,
you could stable your personal horses, on base. But I think that's diminished quite a bit now over the last 30 years. How many people joined the
I
Marine
think-
Corps with horses?
I think Pendleton's about the only one, and usually it's all the officers' kids with their horses.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know anything about Sergeant Reckless.
Oh, look
Actually,
at
Staff
that.
Sergeant Reckless,
Look at that.
and then it's got
Wow.
Oliver.
All her awards.
Oh, wow. They're the
That's-
Purple Hearts. Yeah, they talked
yeah.
about that.
That's amazing. Now,
Oh, she said.
did
I'm
you
sorry.
know
Go
about
ahead.
did you know about Sergeant Reckless before you got involved with the riding ceremonial guard?
No, I didn't. I did because I'd been down to the state. See, you used to be able to rent horses to go for rides down there.
Okay.
I don't know if you still can, or because hell, like I said, I've been out 30 years.
Right.
But so I'd go down there and but they didn't, the plaque that they had for her wasn't anything what it should have been. It was just Staff Sergeant Reckless, Marine Corps horse, da da da, and it was pretty much just a friggin' headstone marker, and that was it. There wasn't any write up about her or anything like that, and I don't think I really found out about her until I started looking into her, and I was like, oh shit, that's that horse that they had the marker for at the stables.
Right.
And then I was like, oh my God, no wonder that horse has got a marker and all that shit. I mean, it's like this, if a horse deserved, if any animal deserved it, this horse deserved a friggin' statue. And I think they make a statue for her, and they got it at Lejeune now, don't they? You're mute. Can't.
Yeah, I don't remember where at, but yeah, in the video that Fat Electrician did, they showed that statue, and but surprisingly, it's a lot more recent than you would have expected for a horse that was in war.
Right.
I want to say that they wrote a book about her like within the last 10 years, and there, I mean, there's so much shit that nobody knows about that it's like, wow.
Right.
Do you even realize? Because my school was on an Air Force base, and I knew more Air Force history than some of the airmen walking around that son of a bitch. It's like, do you know who that is? No. Dude, that's a World War I ace. He kicked some ass. Right. And it's like, I'm like, we learn all our history and shit, and hell, I found out that I was out at 29 Palms at a training, doing a training exercise out there, and the track I was in caught on fire.
Oh wow!
And I was riding with the engineers, so they had a box of Bangalores down the center of it. We had 2 boxes of 50 cal rounds in it. The engineer, the engineer that was in charge, had electronic blasting caps in one pocket of his fatigues, and the fuse lit ones in the other. And he had a box with 10 pounds of dynamite and 10 pounds of C4 in it. And then on the back of this track was the line charge with a rocket attached to the son of a bitch. It caught on fire. You never saw 13 people unass a vehicle so fast, and we got 2 miles away, and EOD showed up and said, you know, you need another mile before the concussion alone won't kill you. And it's like, see you motherfuckers, we're gone, shit. And that entire trip, I was looking at cracks in the dirt that I could crawl into and pebbles I could crawl behind, and I'm like, it was some hairy shit. And I was more scared doing that than I was in Somalia. And I know that's kind of.
I did a little research on Staff Sergeant Reckless. Born in 1947, died in 1968, and the statue and the grave of that horse is at Camp Pendleton.
Oh, they put the statue out because I knew somebody wrote a book about it, and I heard something about they were working on a movie or something like a movie, but I don't know if that ever came to fulfillment or.
Right.
Yeah, they need to.
Yeah,
because even not just the story of the horse, but also all the jackassery of the Marines.
Yeah.
The entire time, how they snuck her back to the States and everything, that deserves to be told.
and getting her drunk. She loved her booze, right? Her beer from. Well,
Oh,
you
Yeah.
know, Jeff, I agree with you. I was stationed on board Camp Pendleton in 2015 to 17, something like that, before I went back down to Miramar. And I was stationed right there in the 22 area where the stables are at and where she's buried at. Because it's the the stable came from my understanding, from the base general's house. They did when they brought her back. I guess there was nowhere to house her, so they made a stable right there in the base general's house. And now it's not used as that anymore. It's used as a stable, but we also use it now as a um not a convention center, but like a meeting area, right? Like if they want to have like,
Yeah, I forgot all about that
yeah,
that
they want to
area
have,
until you mentioned it. It suddenly clicked, right? You would go down that back canyon road
yep,
to get down to Vandergrift Boulevard, and it was kind of across the way there. Yeah.
correct, yes. And I've probably done a handful of training there where the whole company or unit battalion is there for some stand down or training or whatever, and not once was it ever mentioned. And I remember, like Nate said, when the fat electrician did the episode on her, I was like, holy shit, man. And I think that episode is like maybe only a year old, and I haven't been to Camp Pendleton in that time. But now that we're rehashing that, next time I'm in the Camp Pendleton, because I live an hour away from Camp Pendleton, and I go there every now and then. But I have to go by there and definitely see the statue, because when I was there, at least in 2016, there was no statue there. It was just a
oh, hell
little
no.
plaque.
Yeah, and like
Yeah, now
like I said, it's just a little bitty plaque saying Staff Sergeant Reckless 19, and that's it. It doesn't
Yeah, it's
say
like
anything
three
about what
lines.
she did.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like, oh, and after you read what she did, it's like, holy fuck, she deserved better than that.
so Luis, when you go there, you got to get pics, or it didn't happen.
Yeah,
Absolutely, I will, gentlemen. Yeah,
de-
absolutely.
definitely send me some pics because shit, it's been like I said, 30 years since I was out there.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Doc Barry gonna ask a question.
Take you off mute.
Yeah. Um, just to underscore the therapeutic power of horses. Believe me, Jeff, you wouldn't be the first. One of my Vietnam guys, Benny Wilmot, Vietnam Marine, a lot of combat, passed away within the past couple of years. I met him over, well, where I met the rest of you guys. And something he said to me in a message, he says, whenever I go out to the paddock to the horses, I can feel my blood pressure go down. And that says something. It really does. Um, and where I am right now, there is an organization called either Saratoga War Horses or just War Horses, and it's a program where they take retired racehorses and kind of acclimate them back into civilian world, so to speak. And they hook those horses up with veterans who are trained how to brush them and muck the stalls and take care of them. And those guys are having a very high batting average of success for helping these guys getting some emotional relief. And the last thing I'll say is, with when I was in my teens, I used to work with a friend of mine taking care of a local woman's horses. Now you guys know, or Jeff, you know about more about. You've forgotten more about horses than I'll ever know. But I would wait for my friend down in the stall, and the horse in question was a retired thoroughbred, but he wasn't skittish and he wasn't dumb like a lot of the thoroughbreds are. And whenever I'd come down, that the half door that opens, I'd be leaning against the top, the lower half of the door, and that horse would come right up beside me, as if, now I don't know the body language, maybe you can tell me, ears forward, like glad to see you. And I'm tall enough. The horse's head comes up to about here on me. I could just drape an arm around that horse's neck. And it happened without me even being conscious about it. And I could feel after a crappy day of school, just putting my arm around that horse calmed me down. So, for what all that's worth.
And I I'm so much a fact of animals can read you better than anything. Because I've come back from the most horrendous damn day, and the dog will walk up and it's like you know that I and she hadn't had any training. All my dogs have been that way, and none of them had any PTSD training or anything like that. And horses, I've had some horses that were complete turds, and it's like all I want to do is cut your damn head off and be done with you. And you walk into their stall and you're having a shitty day, and that horse walks up to you and just drops their head and puts it on your chest like this, and it's like it all the shit just runs out of your body, and it's like, oh my god, there's you can't explain it, because you have to feel it and be part of it to know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, like so for instance, Jeff, like what would happen if I was so for you to tell the audience. So if I was having a really stressed or tense day and I got on a horse and I was tense, how does the horse react to that?
The horse is gonna feel you're tense, and they're gonna tense up. I mean, look at it this way: if you sit there and watch a horse and watch a fly land on its ass, you can see that they start shaking, like twitching their muscles, trying to get rid of that fly. So if you're sitting on the back of a horse with your ass clenched so tight because you're puckered up, they're gonna think, "Oh shit, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? Something's gonna happen? This dude's that tense." Now, if you walk in there and you're depressed and all that, they're gonna feel that you're depressed. I don't. I want to say it's a sixth sense that they've got. They can tell that there's something wrong with you, and they try and, like I said, I've had the shittiest goddamn horse in the world try to do something to make me feel better. And any other day when I walk in there all good to go and that, I couldn't catch that son of a bitch to save my ass. But you walk in there like, Jesus Christ, what am I going to do? And he came up and he put his head right on my chest, and it's like, and it just,
Yeah,
it's strange how they can feel that.
I was surprised to learn my daughter had told me that, her horse was being difficult one day. And I was like, well, what happened? And she's like, well, he was going down the trail we always go down. And then he just wouldn't go anymore. And she couldn't figure out what it was until the trainer caught up with her. And she's like, it's the branch laying in the trail. And, it's like, what? That branch is new. The horse would not go down the trail because it didn't look the way it always does. And then when I got thrown off the horse, people were like, "Oh, what happened?" Because I think they're waiting to say something kind of neat, waiting for me to tell them some neat story. And I'm like, a plastic bag flew through the rink, and it freaked the horse out, and he turned 90 degrees, and I kept going straight. Like that's all it took.
Oh, when I was growing up, I was out in Pennsylvania, and I was hauling ass through the woods, and I come around the corner, and there was a doe and a fawn right in the middle of the trail. And they decided that they didn't want to be there anymore, so they went opposite ways from each other, and the horse that I was on went 90 degrees to the right. And I was looking down at nothing but road. I'm like, oh, this ain't going to be good. And I felt the horse starting to go, so I tensed up and caught my leg and pulled myself back into the saddle, thank God, and got it stopped before it went through the barbed wire fence right on the other side of the fence of the trail too. So yeah, I've had horses that decided, and everybody's like, oh, I love riding my motorcycle, it's the same as riding a horse. I'm like, no, it's not. Ain't nothing like it. Because that motorcycle ain't got it kind of has a brain of its own, but it's not a thinking brain. That horse,
Yeah.
if it decides it doesn't want to go that way, it's not going to go that way, and you're up shit creek.
It, it's you guys talking about horses and how they not just read or feel their rider, but also their environment at large, right?
Oh
And
yeah,
anything new that if you walk them down the same trail every day, right, or every other day, whatever it is, and there's something new out there, they get kind of skittish or nervous or whatever we want to call it. Makes a lot sense now when I live in a equestrian community, one of the very few people that doesn't have any horses, but a lot of time on our community forum, people post on there because we use the trails as well to run on. People go out there and do 4 mile runs, some crazy people 10, 15 mile runs, and a lot of the people that own horses are always posting on there, please, 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 we respect our runners, but we ask you guys to respect our horses too. Don't come running up behind a horse. If we're walking the horse on the trail, we ask you to kindly please step to the side and let us pass you first. And now it makes sense why they're so I don't
well,
want to say anal about it, but they're very passionate about, hey, please let our horses walk past first. That way they don't get spoofed. I've been pretty good at that. I don't know. I think maybe just my intuition always kind of allowed me to understand that that's a much bigger animal than I am, right? And they also have a human being on top of them. So let them have the right of way first, and then I'll carry on about my business. But
well,
anyway,
the thing about a horse is it is it's not a predator animal; it's a prey animal.
a survival animal, right? For like a better term.
Yeah, they don't eat anything but grass, so they're the predator's food. So they've got a fight or flight instinct, and more times than not, they're going to run like hell if something scares them.
Right, right. And going back to Sergeant Reckless, from what I remember, that's what made her so not just famous,
Different.
but different. There you go. That's the word. Yeah. So different was, from my understanding, like she was never really scared of the artillery rounds around her. She learned kind of on her own that when artillery was coming in, she saw the Marines taking cover, so she'd go find her own little cover to take as well, and that's what
Yep.
impressed a lot of people.
And
So
and maybe it was a horse's main deal about snakes is walking over the comm wire and all that, but she'd step over wires and stuff like that like a champ. And it's just there's so many people that don't know about her that if they did know it's and I'm really sad that more canines aren't recognized in the military because there's Jesus Christ, them dogs with them noses smelling out the son of a bitch before you get to that wire or get to the ambush or whatever. They've how many lives have they saved and they don't get any recognition?
100%, 100%. Man, they jump
Yeah.
them out of airplanes nowadays.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, shit. Airplanes,
That's,
oh man,
that's why
all
the
the
Marine
shit
Corps
that they
went with
can do.
the. That's why with the Marine Corps went with the Belgian Malinois instead of the Shepherd, is because they were lighter and they could hook them up into their gear and jump.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
And so, Jeff,
Yep.
and I know we always like to do the disclaimer. We're not here as professionals, and I know you're not an equestrian therapist, but in your knowledge or your opinion, is one breed of horse maybe better suited for therapy than another one, or is it just comes down to uh, how that horse was raised and or trained and whatnot?
Well, it all depends on the person because you got some people that are scared of big horses, and you got some people that don't mind them. Because honestly, if I was gonna go get you a horse that I knew wasn't gonna hurt you, I'd go get you a draft horse. And everybody's like, "Oh, but the little bitty horse, the tiny little one that's so cute," and fuck them. They're mean little bastards. I have everybody ask me, what would you get your kid for a horse, or what would you get your kid for a pony? I wouldn't. I'd get him a small quarter horse that been there, done that, but you're gonna pay for it. But like I said, you run into them people that, oh my God, he's so big. I want that one. And they're pointing at the one about the size of my dog. And it's like, and they've got some of them out there that they take to hospitals, and that they walk right into the damn hospitals. And
Hey, Jeff,
they,
I don't know if you remember, this is something I asked you years ago.
you wanted a draft horse.
That's right. A
I know.
Clydesdale or something that's 38 feet tall. And you said get your ass to Iowa and I can make that happen in about a half hour. Verbatim. That's what you told me. I've never forgotten
Yep.
that. That is so cool. And that's on my bucket list, to try into, have your, like a kid having his picture on a pony, or having a picture of yours truly, the old fat guy on top of a draft horse. That would be the bee's knees right there.
I actually have driven a team of Belgians, and I used to
Oh,
ride.
yeah.
I rode them.
Belgians are huge.
Belgians, Clydesdales, and Perches. Well, Perches, the reason they use Percherons in circus acts is because their asses are so wide. They're
Easier to stand on, I guess.
Yep, they've got more of a platform up there to stand on. Because
Yeah.
was it my great grandparent? I think it was my great grandparents raised Percherons for circus acts. Here,
Wow.
right, like an hour away from where I am right now.
I was looking in the viewer comments, and first fifth had mentioned equine therapy really helping, and Doc Berry leads into your question. One of the things that people don't consider, and it's one of the biggest things the VA misses when they say that they can't find how service dogs help people, and it's because they don't bother looking at this aspect of it, but it's why horses help too, is when you've got a horse or a service dog, that animal is dependent on you. And when you're by yourself, it's easy to sink into a hole and do absolutely nothing and only get up because you've got to take a leak or you need to eat, right? But when you've got a horse or a dog there that's dependent on you, needs you to go get food for it, needs you to water it, needs you to take it out, it forces a veteran to have to do something. And it forces, so then you connect with that animal, and now you start taking care of it. And then for the first time, for a lot of vets, they're taking care and giving a crap about something for the first time. And, there's a lot of the natural things the horses do as well. But that aspect of, giving a vet a reason to live is another aspect of it that I don't think the VA does a good job of assessing. And, but I've heard it said many times, that's really what connects the vets to horses or anybody who does equine therapy.
That makes a lot of sense. And I never even thought of that myself. That any type of, because they're doing a lot more now besides equine therapy with animals, right? We've been looking at doing what is called a living farm therapies eventually. Anywho, it's for a different time and episode to talk about. But I didn't make that connection. Was you're absolutely right. You're giving that veteran that just feels that they're, for lack of a better term, they're no longer useful in this world anymore. And we just, I've been guilty of it too. Everyone that's watching, I'm not going to sit here and sound like I haven't been, where I just sit in my bed and rot for a month or 2 months, what we call the death scrolling on social media, you know what I mean? And next thing you know, you're just, well, here's another day and I'm just going to sit here. But now that you have a purpose to go out there and focus your mind on trying to take care of it. And I can also imagine, well, I can't because I haven't done it, but I would assume as well, as that veteran or person who doesn't have to be a veteran, right? Anyone that's dealing with mental health, as they're taking care of this animal and they're starting to feel a little bit better themselves, and they start seeing how that animal is now reacting to them, their therapy, right? Maybe you go from and I'm speaking very naively here from a person that's never ridden a horse besides twice in his life, and that was around a little, corral at a birthday party or something like that, right? But I would could imagine, right? You go from riding your horse, let's say 10 minutes a day, to now you're actually doing some training. I see how they use I don't want to call it a whip, but like they'll use the stick to guide them around the
Crop.
pen. Was that Nate?
A crop.
Okay. They'll use that to
Well,
help
Yeah, but
now
or if you
now it
you start
depends because
or talk about or lead.
there's the flags. There's the one with the flags on them. There's the one I you got a lunge whip. You got a driving crop whip. You got a crop. There's so much,
so you have a lot of tools.
but we won't
then.
get into that. There's
Yeah,
just as many tools for that as there is for dog training, if
Gotcha.
not more.
Well, yeah, well, whatever we use to trade, right? Whatever I would assume too, as that person is developing that relationship with that animal, that horse, as we're talking with right now. Like I said, they go from maybe just making sure that they're fed, watered, and cleaned, on a daily,
To
and then
living with them.
right to then started to do some training with them, and they see how that horse is developing its own skill set, right? And maybe now you start riding it, you start jumping it, or maybe you ride it around some barrels or whatnot, and so now your skill set is developing as well too. And I can't even imagine how that improves someone's mental health, because like I said, you go from that dark place of, man, shit, I ain't fucking work anything anymore, I'm just sitting here, not just rotting
Yeah.
away, just waiting to die, basically, right? And
Yeah.
now you have a purpose.
Especially if you've slowly been devolving, right? Like you lose a spouse because your marriage breaks up, right? And you don't hardly see your kids anymore, or they've outgrown you or whatever, and then you sit there by yourself and then realize that, yeah, it doesn't matter if I do nothing because it doesn't affect anybody but me. And so if you get somebody, that's one of the reasons why they give old people, they try to get them a small dog or something like that. But I'm sure if you were to tell a veteran or the elderly, hey, we're going to give you this animal so you have a reason to live, or it gives you something to do, they're probably more likely to reject it. But if you just like, hey, come check out this animal, right? They get sucked in. It's kind of like going to the pet store. I do whatever I can to not go by the cat section, otherwise I'll end up walking out with one.
Well, so
that's my wife.
I before this dog, I had another one, and I stupidly name his full AKC registered name was Maverick Sergeant Major, and he acted like a sergeant major, like he outranked my ass by 20 fucking years. He didn't listen to me for shit. But he looked after my son. Me and my son were wrestling around on the floor one night, and I'm divorced. I got him every other weekend. He was maybe 5-6 years old, and we're playing around on the floor, and he goes, ow, ow, ow. That dog stood up, turned, looked me in the eyes, and growled.
He was ready to take your life.
Oh, he was getting ready to beat my ass. And I looked at it. I looked at that dog and I said, look here, asshole, I feed you every night. But I regress. He passed away, or I had him put down because he was in too much pain, and I didn't want him to suffer anymore. So I put him down. 2 weeks later, I told my son, I said, we're going to look at a dog, because I'm coming home to nothing. I've got an empty fucking house. I'm dying. I gotta have something I have to have a purpose. And so I went out and I found this dog online on Facebook, and it was out in Omaha, Nebraska. So me and him went out and looked at her about 6 years ago, I guess. And they said, "Yep, we call her Lemon." I'm like, why do you want to call her the name of a bad car? What the fuck is that shit about? And they're like, yeah, she was in a dog pound down in Texas when we went down to pick up one, and somebody had just brought her back because she wasn't fitting in. And they're like, well, why didn't she fit in? Oh, she was digging a hole in her yard. I'm like, she's a fucking dog. Isn't that what they're supposed to do? So I brought her home, and she started to dig a hole in my yard once, and that's because I forgot she was outside. I've never had a problem with her. The only thing is she's allergic to grass, and she's a pain in the ass. But it's that pain in the ass that keeps you going.
But from what we've seen of her so far, she's not a pain in the ass the way most people would think. It's like seems like she's a pain in the ass because she wants attention and affection.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
She loves people, and shit, she's standing on my foot right now. And a 40-pound dog shouldn't hurt the damn feet that much.
Yeah.
But
My service dog's a Great Dane, so I understand.
but smart, and she's the first speckled bob stub-tailed heeler I've ever had. All mine have been the blue, or I had 2 blues and a red. But
And now, Jeff, do you own any horses yourself, or you just do it on the side work?
at this time, I don't. I got to get my pasture in check, but I'm gonna have at least 2 of my own, if not more, and I'm gonna get into team roping.
Okay.
I don't know if you have any idea what that is.
Yeah, I do. Well, I guess Doc doesn't. One thing I know more than you, Doc. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I realized a couple of years ago I didn't bounce like I used to riding saddle bronc, so I gave up on that.
And if for our audience that is listening now and those that will hopefully see this in the future, what advice would you give someone not necessarily going to go to equestrian therapy, because obviously that facility will guide the patients, right? But what advice would you give someone that is looking at possibly wanting to own a horse? You know,
Don't. They're expensive as hell. No.
Yeah, they are. And unless you want to become an amateur veterinarian and learn how to do all the stuff yourself,
Yeah.
the little things that keep popping up, like getting its coggins done, having I forgot the name of the person that comes out and does their hooves and their shoes and
Farrier.
farrier, yeah.
farrier, yeah.
And
My daughter, it seemed like every month she had something new that we needed to pay for. I was just like, when do we get to own this thing? It's kind of like a house. You can pay it off, but you're still going to pay taxes.
it's a big ass hole that you just keep throwing money into.
Yeah.
And
they live
I wish it was
35 years.
They can live that long, but then you so I've been in it long enough that I've seen the longevity of them, and I've seen the fragile side of them. Because I knew a kid, he had a weanling that was gonna be worth just buckets of money, and it was standing on a hill, and a thunderstorm came in, and a lightning strike hit it and killed it. Bam, done.
Oh wow!
It's rodeo. We had a saying: it's not if you're going to get hurt, it's when and how bad. And it's pretty much the same with horses.
Yeah, sounds like motorcycles, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's not if you're gonna go down; it's just when you're gonna go down.
Yeah, any sport, anything, it's not if you're going to get hurt, it's when and how bad.
Right.
And I don't care if it's badminton or ping pong. But yeah, I wish I could tell you, I love horses, and they've always been a part of my life. And I wish I could tell you that the best thing I could say to do is find a barn that you can rent a horse at and go down there, go down and ride when you want to ride. But
So here's my latest idea, Jeff. Here's my latest idea, Jeff. I'd like to have horses around again one day, but I don't want to own one. And I was like, well, what if I just provided a place for other people to stall their horses at, and I don't have to. I make it free or real cheap for them. So then you have pasture with horses, and you don't have to pay for any of the upkeep.
That sounds real good until they start showing up at 3-4 in the morning, drunk off their ass, going,
Yeah.
"I want to see my horse," because I've dealt with that shit too. And
But-
or you get the people showing up going, "Well, you need to do this with this pasture," and no, bye.
Right.
I'm sorry. I've been from one side of the horse industry to the other side of the horse industry. I've done the pony rides. I've done the bronc ride. I worked for a stock contractor out of Iowa, and we went all over the states. We went to New York. We went up and down the East Coast. I rode a horse on the beach in Wildwood, New Jersey, because of a rodeo there.
Wow.
And
Wow, I would never have guessed.
And then I've been in the show side of it too, where you got to make them all look pretty, and they go into the arena and they go around in circles and accomplish absolutely nothing to have some guy go, "You're first, you're second, you're third." All right, why the hell did you fucking do it that way? Because that one looks like he's limping. He looks like a three-legged stool that. But, and then I've also worked with. Now, they've got a deal, they call it reigning cow horse. And what it is
No
is
idea.
they do 3 different events. It's kind of like the equitation, the hunter jumper deal, but it's with cows. They do a reining pattern. I'm not sure if you've seen that, but the horse can sit on its ass and spin circles, and then it does all different or speeds around the arena, and then they do a cutting deal cutting is where they go into a herd of cattle and bring one out and keep that one cow from getting back into the herd. And then they do what they call, God damn it, brain fart, arena work. And they'll kick one cow out at the end, and they'll run it back and forth a little bit, and then they'll run it down along the fence, get in front of it, stop it, turn it, run it back down the fence, stop it, turn it, and then do circles in the middle of the arena to show that they have control over the horse or over the cow. And I've seen some pretty nasty wrecks doing that shit. I saw a guy go down on a horse and his head went between the panels, and I was like, "Oh, this may not be good." But I saw a cow fall in front of a horse, and the horse stayed on its knees, and everybody was talking about the cowboy and what a cowboy he was and da 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 da. And I'm like, fuck the cowboy. The horse just saved his ass. He didn't go over. And nobody realizes how athletic these horses are. Like, I
And
mean,
also-
look at Secretariat.
And also, thanks for that's exactly the name I was thinking of just now, as far as athleticism, but also intelligence.
Oh, they're
The stuff-
intelligent as all get out.
Oh yeah. So speaking of Secretariat, so the story goes, his owner, Penny, her name was Penny, like Shinnery or something like that.
Yep.
She was being interviewed, and she said after he retired out of racing, he was world famous, and apparently she would allow visitors to come to see him in person. And he knew what he was about. He knew what his presence was, and he also knew how to fool around. So the story goes that she told he would start when there's like a crowd of visitors by the fence. He would start toward them and then speed up and be at a dead run. Now, when Secretariat's coming at you at a dead run, you don't want to hang, especially if you don't know what you're dealing with. And at the and of course the people, his fans, would be waiting to pet him and worship him. They'd scatter. And Penny said, and he would veer off at the last second and then come back to the fence. You may worship me now. And I thought that was just great.
Oh, that stock contractor that I worked for, he had a big old stud. He was mean. He was ornery as hell. And he two-jumped Ty Murray at the finals one year. And I heard all sorts of stories how they'd have to go get an extension ladder to get the kids out of the damn pine trees on the other side of the arena from him launching them into the friggin' trees. And you'd walk up to the gate, and he knew that gate moved enough, and he'd come down and he'd pop it with his chest and knock people back. He's like, I'm the shit. And to this day, there ain't sorry, my dog got into something that she shouldn't have. As far as I knew, they were scared to take him back to the finals because he was too powerful for him. And I got a crop duster buzzing my house right now.
Well, going back a little bit, Jeff, unless you've got something else with the horses, something you mentioned earlier on, and for some people might not know it. So when you went to MP school, you said you went on an Air Force base. So
Yeah.
describe for people why it was an Air Force base and where was that you went to MP school at?
So my MP school was in Lackland Air Force Base, and I think it was 2 schools after us. They started going to Lost in the Woods in Missouri. And I really don't know why we got sent to Army or to the Air Force for MP school, because it was nothing. I think it had something to do with the aircraft. They wanted the Air Wing MPs to be able to learn how to watch aircraft, or all of us to watch aircraft in case we got with the Air Wing side of it. But for the most, we did 3 months in down there. A month and a half of it was MP school with the Air Force, or 2 months was with the Air Force MP school. And then for a month, we went out with the Marine instructors, and they taught us how we were going to do shit.
Oh, now, so
And
maybe I misunderstood. So was it a joint school where all the services went together?
Navy, Air Force, and Marines.
Oh, okay. But the
And
Army did their own thing.
yeah, the Army had their own MPs, and well, we won't talk about them because I heard they're a bunch of work. From the Army guys at the port in Mogadishu, they didn't like them, and were scared that they were going to get screwed over when we left, and they were going to take over. So I regressed there. But oh my God, it's night and day going from an Air Force, going from MCT at Camp Pendleton to Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, Texas. It's like you got off the bus or whatever. We got off of a passenger van because there were only about 5 or 6 of us. And I could have sworn I heard the Wizard of Oz friggin' and a rainbow going over the damn base. I mean, Jesus. It was night and day. First night I went into the chow hall. Went in there, got my chow, and they had steak.
Yeah,
They
Air
had-
Force chow halls. Woo.
They had steak, they had soda, they had ice cream. I'm like, what the hell is this? And the dude's like, yeah, this is every day. I'm like, you're shitting me. And when we sat down and I put my cover on the table and I ate my food and got up and I went to grab my tray, and the guy that had been there for a little bit goes, no. And I'm like, oh, you're trying to get me in trouble, aren't you, you son of a bitch? He's like, no, leave the tray. I'm like, all right. And you know, after you've been in for 6 months, you're kind of like, oh, I'm getting ready to get hazed here. Something's not right. And I turn
Yeah,
around
you
to
used to
walk
clean
out.
it up after yourself.
Yeah, I turned around to walk away, and I went, oh shit, my cover. Turned back around, and that table was clean. They'd shot out and cleaned everything off, and my cover's the only thing that was on that damn table. I'm like, where the fuck did it go? And they and the medical that they had there, and no offense to you, Doc, but the medical there was they're like, oh, this hurts. Okay, we'll do this, and this. I'm like, wait a second, no Motrin and dry socks. What the fuck are you talking about?
They're like, what's moleskin?
Yeah. Oh, it was night and day down there. But I also I think the big thing is they were thinking if you went into K9, it was easier to transition from MP school, Lackland Air Force Base, to military dog handler school at Lackland Air Force Base, because that is where all of the military dog handlers go, because that is the main training area for canines for the military.
Yeah. So how long was MP school? Was it like 3 months or something?
3 months. Yep.
Now, did you get to pick did you get to put in a preference, or did you get to pick where you wanted to go, where your first duty station was going to be?
I chose West Coast, and I got sent to I got sent to first group out there and did all my time there. And I was, let's see, my first Christmas was in boot camp.
Same.
My second one was watching a mess tent out in 13 area of Las Pulgas. Then my third one was Somalia. And my fourth one,
what year did you come in?
90.
Oh, okay. Huh. When in 1990?
December.
I came in. Okay, I came in 1990, but I was in June. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and then, so we went to Somalia, came back, and they sent us over to Saudi for a pre-position exercise. And that's when they shot the 32 cruise missiles into fucking Baghdad. And nobody told us about it, and we were standing on the front gate. I was waiting to see. We got back, and they're having a headquarters powwow meeting and all this shit, and we're trying to watch a movie on a 26-inch TV, 40 people sitting around this damn little TV watching a video, and some
little
guy comes
TV
over, he goes,
today. It was huge back then.
26 inches was huge back then, shit.
So she said.
And he came over and shut it off. I'm like, what the fuck's his problem? He goes, oh, they shot 32 cruise missiles into Baghdad. I'm like, dude, I was just standing on the front fucking gate. It would have been nice to know that. Give us a little heads up that we might have somebody coming down the road shooting at us. And then
So did you go for, is that for Operation Southern Watch?
I don't remember what the hell they did call that. They flew us over on Tower Air.
Yep.
And we landed, went to the port there in Kuwait, and they
That's probably Southern Watch.
And they landed they brought a pre-position ship in, unloaded it, loaded it back up, and shipped it back out, and flew us home. That's your taxpayers' money right there.
Right. And so, Jeff, when you went to MP school, because I've learned the difference between this now too, did you go for field MP, or was it like gate guard driving cars MP?
So their MP school, you can either get sent to base, group, or division. And it's just how they draw your name out of the hat. But they train you for all three of them.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay, got it.
So in fact, I fapped over to baseline for a little bit and just augmentated them. And I had to requalify with the 1911s because they were still carrying those bastards. But because at school I qualified with the 9mm before the slides started popping off and hitting people in the face. But
that's better than what's going on with those SIGs right now. Right?
Yeah, I just heard about that shit. The dude got shot in the chest with that piece of shit.
Yeah. While it was in his holster, he didn't even touch it.
Yeah. He took the holster off, set the whole damn thing on the desk, and it shot him in the chest.
What?
Yeah, ATF verified. There's a certain condition that it can strike the primer without you doing anything to it.
What? These are those.
I think that might be the end of it.
The SIG with like the P230s or whatever they are, I believe.
No, the M18, the military ones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's based on I think it's the 320 or the 230.
320, that's what it is. Yeah.
It was an Air Force guy. It was an Air Force guy that got shot in the chest.
Holy shit.
Yeah, see, if it was a Marine, we would just say, oh, okay, they were quick drawing on each other.
And that shit happened in Marine Corps Base Camp Pillen once.
Yep.
Except
I remember.
Except they quick drawed on him. He shot him, and the other dude friggin' put one in his chamber and shot the dude in the leg. He goes, "Shoot me, asshole! I'll shoot you back."
Man, yeah, y'all Marines, man, y'all are notorious for doing some dumb shit, man. Fucking I was a part of a unit, like, you know, everyone has those stories of like, oh yeah, I heard it from a friend of a cousin of a sister, right? But I had a Marine that in Camp Lejeune, this was in before Iraq, so I think it was like 2000,
Is this the one
2001.
that caught the raccoon and had it blowing the breathalyzer?
No, that's funny. I love that story. No, one of my Marines pulled out his K bar and snuck up behind my other Marine. We're out in the field, and he had his not the interceptor vest, but I was with track, so we had what we call the second chance. So it's the slimmer one that you put underneath your uniform, and he snuck up behind that Marine and went to go stab him. And as soon as my other Marine felt the knife go through the second chance vest, he fell back and made the K-bar go even deeper into him.
Oh
And
shit!
when the investigation came down, the Marine that was fooling around with the K-bar said, "Well, if it stops bullets, I would have assumed it would have stopped the knife." It's like, wow, my like y'all are. So we tell y'all not to play with the wildlife out there, because y'all.
So the main thing that happened when I was there is the 18-year-old kid died on a PT run of a massive coronary. And after that, we had to all run in formations, and that blew fucking donkey dick. Because you were always getting kicked by the dude behind you or kicking the dude in front of you because he was going too slow. And it's like, oh, not only that, but you had to smell the dude that had been drinking all night the day in front of you.
Yeah, so in it was either 91 or 92, I can't remember when, but my battalion was the one that, so back in the day, you could ride in a Humvee with no flak jacket on and no helmet, right? That was normal, and with the doors off, as long as you had your seatbelt on. And it was my unit that caused them to start putting the helmets on, because we were out in the field up at Camp Horno, up in the north of Camp Pendleton, and I think it was the company driver, decided to take the Humvee down First Sergeant Hill, which is extremely steep. And if I remember correctly, it was steeper than what the Humvee is rated for. So he had it in 4 low and in first gear, and was letting it just coast its way down, which is really slow. But while that was going on, the transfer case broke. So then it just started. It was just coasting downhill. Yeah, it was freewheeling. And then so I don't remember exactly how it happened, if it flipped end over end or whatever, but it threw him through the windshield. And he happened to have his helmet on, even though he wasn't required to. He happened to have his helmet on. His helmet broke the windshield. He got thrown clear of it. And the Marines in the back, because it was I forget what they called it. It wasn't the high. Well, it was the high back when you have no back on it, right? So it was like a pickup truck.
The troop carrier.
Yeah, the troop carrier. Yeah, so he had that. Personnel got, however many were in the back, they got thrown out of it. But then after that, that's when they changed the base policy, and it went all over the Marine Corps. Everybody had to wear Flaxon helmets, and you had to have an A driver. You could no longer drive a Humvee by yourself. But so that one wasn't. It really wasn't too much jackassery, other than it was way too steep of a hill.
Well, I got you beat on this one. So 29 Palms, we're out there for CAX. Second LAAVs are out there from Lejeune, and they're doing, they've always got different CAXs going on and shit like that. So they're out there, and 3 of them are up in the what the hell did they call that little E club, that metal building out in 29 Palms?
The Warriors Club.
Camp Wilson?
Yeah.
The Warriors Club.
They were in there, and that always closed at 10 o'clock. Well, they weren't done drinking. So they went and stole a Hummer and went Mainside. 3 of them. They went in Mainside, continued to drink. The roadmaster showed up out at 29 Palms to get the information on the stolen Hummer. And when he was heading back in Mainside, he passed the Hummer at 1 o'clock in the morning going to Camp Wilson. Well, gee, kind of no-brainer there, huh? So he whipped around to get the numbers off the back to make sure. And then he flipped these cherries on. He's in a F-250 4x4. They're in a Humvee. They're not going to outrun the F-250, not in that Humvee. So
No.
they cut off on that back road into Wilson, where that curve is, and then it curves back by the airfield. They shot straight off onto that dirt road that goes in the back way to Wilson. Well, so did the F-250 because it's a 4-wheel drive too. Duh. And so they decided we'll go even more off-road. Well, you know, all the washes and that shit out there at Camp Wilson, they hit one of them. Oh no, they hit a major wash, and the dude sitting in the back got catapulted 100 fucking feet. Landed on his head, broke his neck. Done.
Damn.
And
Man.
my staff sergeant, being an accident investigator, was called over to check out what happened, to do the AI on it. And I didn't know anything other than 3 Marines, or 1 Marine got killed in it. So I called home to say, hey, because my parents knew I was at 29 Palms. And I called home to say, hey, if you hear about a Marine out here at 29 Palms getting killed, it wasn't me. Oh yeah, he's graduating from East High here in town. They knew more about what the hell the dude was than I did. So yeah, dumb things Marines do. We took cargo straps and put it on a 55-gallon drum between.
This already sounds cool.
the dragon wagons, the trailers on the dragon wagons. They put 4 of them to each one, to the corners on the pockets on the corner of them, and then we used it as a bucking bull. We used it as a bucking.
Oh my goodness!
Oh, they were dragging it?
No, we were bouncing it.
Oh man!
And there was one big dude that was over there doing it, and it started to rock the friggin' trailer up off of its corner, and it's like, holy shit, stop, you dumb motherfucker. But yeah, those are the dumbest things we did. Well, that and the dry ice bombs. Take a Gatorade bottle and make sure it was dry, and chip up dry ice, put it in that son of a bitch, and then dump the canteen cup of water in it and put the cap on it and run like hell. God, they were loud.
We used to do that. Yeah, we used to crush up the MRE heaters. Just jam a bunch of MRE heaters in there, toss some water in it, and wait for it to go off.
Yeah. And probably about the same thing with that heat expanding that gas and all that, but that dry ice, holy shit, we had the top of one of them come off, and so down at Lackland, we did a deal, and they had those mortar simulators, and they would show us, that you pull the plug, or you pull the plunger, toss it, and it boom.
Yeah.
Well, they to show us why we needed to get the fuck out of the fighting hole if one got in there with us, they pulled a plunger and put an old World War II steel pot on top of it. And then we watched that son of a bitch blow up 150 feet in the air.
Yeah. Man.
Oh, it was that, and the rattlesnakes down there and the fire ants. Those were all fun.
Yeah. Hey, something, Jeff, I wanted to ask you, and if the answer is no, it'll be pretty quick. But if it's yes, I'd be interested in your take on it. So you were in Mogadishu the same time I was. Did you guys go out for the takedown of Adid's compound?
Nope. No, we we did we ran a couple of convoys back and forth to the airport, and so we were in charge of convoy security out of the port. So we ran, the CBs would come to us and say, hey, we need you to take us here. And our convoy security was one fire team for the entire fucking convoy. Yeah.
Wow.
And
did they ever pull you guys for the Bakar Arms Market raid?
Nope.
Wow, I'm surprised. Yeah.
They the only time we went back and forth to the port a couple of times, or to the airport a couple of times with the CBs, and we got over there one time and their shipment wasn't flying in that day. So it's like, well, let's go home. And the Army showed up on a flight, and they were looking for a ride to the embassy. And we okayed it with everybody to take them for a ride, because I was looking at them, and these assholes are coming off with HKMP5s and M4 high tech. I mean high speed, low drag weapons and shit. And I'm like, well, they got to know what the fuck they're doing. They got HKMP5s and A4 or the collapsible cars and all that shit. I'm like, yeah, we'll take you. Lock and load.
I wonder if that was their I wonder if that was their PSYOP guys, because where I was, I was over where the Joint Information Bureau was at the embassy, and we got displaced by the Army PSYOP that came in before 10th Mountain got there.
These guys came in with 10th. I think it might have been the pre-party for 10th Mountain, and it could have been the PSYOPs guys coming in with them. But I don't know. Yeah. All I knew was I was like, all right, you guys need to lock and load. We're getting ready to go into fucking Indian territory. It's shitty outside the wire. They said, we don't have any rounds. Yeah. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking? You ain't got no rounds. And
I can't remember when we got ours. I think we had them on the plane.
Yeah, we as MPs, they gave us ours before we left. Because we were security for everybody on the plane and all that shit. But yeah, and my whole safety briefing before we left for any op to the airport was, all right, I want everybody but one to go to that side and just fucking open up on the bastards if you need to. But I want that dude on that side in case the shit hits the fan on that side, so he can fucking open up on them on that side. And the CB's senior chief in charge of it looks at me and goes, I like this son of a bitch.
Yeah. Now I come to think of it, my whole Marine Corps career, even in exercises and stuff like that, and Joint Task Force 6 missions, and even in Desert Storm, Somalia is the only place I ever remember being where I felt like once you left the gate, it was all on you. It was like,
hell, you didn't even. It wasn't even.
There was no like methodical plan.
Nope. You weren't even safe in the gate.
No, I tried to explain it to people. They didn't matter where you were on the airfield, on the embassy, or the port. They would take shots at anybody from anywhere.
Yep. It got to the after they did the drive-by on our front gate, we shut down that road in front of the port, and the only way to get in there was with some sort of pass paper to get, and you were going onto the port or you're going away from the port. You weren't just driving down that road in front of it for the shits and giggles. So we had it shut down, and this this Marine set his MRE down by the front gate, and this little kid stole his MRE and took off running. Well, he didn't take off running. He just started walking away. And they called for a mobile, and I was getting done dropping off all the gun crews on the port, and he's like, yeah, this Somalian just stole my MRE. I'm like, all right, whoa, and I blew through that front gate, and that little kid, his eyes got so big when I come around that corner, whoa, he took off running, and I was on
just
his
laughing at
ass.
that sound of Humvee tires on pavement. That's perfect.
And he started running across the deal, and he went through a park, and I chased this kid probably 200 yards, and he ran through, for lack of a better term, a farmer's market, or a little market area.
Yeah.
And it was nothing but sand in that son of a bitch. So the rooster fucking tail coming up from that Hummer doing a donut, chasing his ass. I don't think there was anybody in that market that didn't have sand up the crack of their ass by the time I was done. And so he cut down this alley. And about this time, it's dawning on me that me and my A-Rider are the only fuckers in this Humvee in no man's land. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And he's running down this alleyway, and there's nowhere for him to go. And we're going after him, and I'm like, I looked at the kid that was with me, and I'm like, hey, as soon as we get up here, snatch that little bastard, throw him in the back of the Hummer, and we're getting the fuck out of here. And he's like, okay, yep. Well, we pulled up, and he dove behind this plant that was hanging over the wall. And the kid jumps out as I come to a stop, and you see his hand come out with an MRE in it. And he snatched the MRE out of the kid's hand, snatched a hold of his wrist, and yanked him through this plant. Threw him in the back of the Hummer, jumped in and sat down. As soon as he could, he was sitting on his ass in the back of the Hummer, and I gunned it in reverse, got backed up, turned, and went back into the deal. And the entire way in, this kid's playing pinball, because every time I stopped, he was just about standing up, and I hit the brakes. Wham! And we did that 3 or 4 times, and we got back, and we gave the MRE to the dude and said, do whatever you want with him. And we parked the Hummer, and when the kid comes up to me and he goes, dude, I kind of feel sorry for that kid. And I'm like, why? He stole Louis' fucking MRE. He's like, yeah, but that plant that I yanked him through was a cactus.
I was just surprised that. So if it had been us, I'd have been like, I'm not chasing that MRE, because I would have been afraid that the kid was leading us into an ambush.
Well, and I as soon as I got out there into no man's land, I was like, oh, you dumb motherfucker, what did you do? I had that tunnel vision on it. I was like, I was so tired of them getting away from us, because down there on the port, they had these deals. They looked like big ass jumping jacks, the cement deals to keep the ocean from eroding it. And
yeah, kind of like the same things they have in Okinawa.
Yeah, and we'd chase them down, and we'd be paralleling them, and they'd be stealing shit from us. Hell, the first night they unloaded a preposition ship over there, they stole 326 Humvee batteries.
Wow.
And I didn't even know where the fuckers were. I didn't know they were under the passenger seat. But 326.
Oh, they stole them out of the vehicle.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant they stole them off of a pallet or something.
No, they went from Humvee to Humvee to Humvee and took them all out of that bitch. But
man,
So we'd been chasing them like they were ghosts. When they'd go down, they pretty much had a tunnel complex down in those erosion deals, and they'd go down
Yeah,
here
those Jack.
and come up on the 100. They'd go down 100 yards on this side of us and come up 100 yards on the other side of us, and it's like, how the fuck did that happen? And I was tired of losing to them, so I was gonna get as much payback as I could, and it didn't dawn on me until, oh shit, we're out here with these assholes by ourselves. And yeah, I mean, to this day, I'm like, I don't know how we didn't end up in a bad way, but maybe it was the shock and awe of seeing a Humvee coming around the corner on two wheels squawking across the damn thing. Because we didn't slow down for shit. I mean, I'd hit the brakes and come to a complete stop and shift, and we'd go the other way.
Well, that was one of the nice things about the Humvee is that wheelbase was so wide.
Oh
that
yeah,
you could take corners. You'd slide before you ever rolled.
oh
Unless you hit
and it wasn't really a slide. It was more of a hop because you
yeah.
But yeah, it some crazy shit that we did, and the first night we were there, that was the weirdest thing, is because I heard them mongooses fighting.
Oh, I never dealt with that.
Oh my God, you're lucky, because we were walking a patrol on the port, and we came up to this building, and we were starting to go. We were just about ready to go around the corner of this building, and we heard it sounded like some woman getting killed. It sounded like a woman screaming, just bloody murder. And we're like, we looked at each other like, what the fuck is that? And we peeked around the corner and didn't see anything. And it's like, there's nothing there. What? Bullshit. And he'd look around the corner. You're right, there ain't nothing there. And we finally happened to be looking around the corner as these two little shadows right next to the wall were flipping around, and we heard this blood curdling scream, and it's like, oh shit. Oh, okay. Because we were getting ready to light somebody up, and because of this screaming, but yeah, them and the banana spiders over there. You remember them bastards?
No, I didn't. Fortunately, I didn't have to deal with that. I didn't even know they had banana spiders there in Somalia. So,
Holy
which wouldn't
shit.
have been good for me.
Our armorer in our unit asked us to look for a place, and in the police the police building, they had cells in the back, and in one of the cells there were 4 of them bastards in each corner, and he was the same way. He hated spiders, and we took him in there to show him the build. We're like, yeah, see, you got all this room, and there's the only window in the place, and we had our lights down real narrow, so all it was on that window. He goes, oh, this is gonna work great. I said, yeah, and you got roommates. Don't. Oh fuck no. He was gone. Them were some big bastards though.
Well, gentlemen, we are. Oh,
go ahead.
No, if you had something else to add, Nate, I was just gonna say we're a little bit over our 2-hour mark. So
I'm sorry.
No, you're good, Jeff. No, not to apologize for nothing, brother. So I just want to give everyone, especially you, Jeff, the last 5 minutes. If there's anything we felt that we might have left out, or I know we got a little sidetrack on the equestrian stuff on the horses and all that, but I think that was a good little sidetrack, right? anyone that's ever thought about any type of animal therapy, as Jeff and Nate and even Doc Barry have said, definitely sounds like a good avenue if you have not tried that yourself. So
and it doesn't have to be horses. It doesn't have to be dogs. It can be friggin' llamas. It can be any damn animal that you feel comfortable with, as long as it helps you.
right
I
on.
think I'm going to go for a service sloth.
A service what?
Sloth.
Okay. I always thought I kind of, the honey badger was more my style.
When do they have service Tasmanian devils?
Yeah.
But
Hey Jeff, let me just jump in here real quick, since we're winding down. You certainly sound so much better than you did X number of years ago. Because I remember the Jeff Butler during the drinking days,
Oh, yeah.
and it was rough. It was really rough, hearing what you were going through, and you sound completely rejuvenated. And hallelujah, thank God that happened. And thanks for coming on with us.
No problem.
Everybody takes us in a different direction, and you're no exception. And try to keep in mind when people watch this, okay, people down the road, we are helping people we haven't met and we may never meet. All right. When you tell your stories, when everybody tells their stories, they're making it easier for the next guy or gal to tell their story. So hallelujah for finally coming on with us. We
I
appreciate it.
For people watching this.
I'm not gonna lie. There's still things that set me off, and it's like, oh fuck this. I gotta get out of here. But
Yeah, but I think anybody who's watched the beginning of this all the way to the end are probably noticing a different Jeff at the end of the 2 hours than at the beginning. Right? And sometimes just starting out talking is kind of hard at the beginning, but then once you get into a rhythm of it, it gets easier.
Well, all right, gentlemen. If there's nothing else left, we'll go ahead and wrap up this evening. As Nate and Doc Barry said, Jeff, once again, thank you so much for coming on board. I'm sure there's still things that you want to discuss, maybe that we didn't get to, and so the door is always open for you to come back on and share more of your story. I think a lot of people think that they're, and I've done podcasts for other people, right, as a guest, and I share this part. This is the first time I've ever shared on ours. You know, we sometimes come on these podcasts thinking that, all right, what is the, not the agenda, but like, what's the point that I want to make? What is, you know, what do I really want to talk about? I think just sharing your story, right? Like Nate said, man, sharing your story allows others to know that, hey, I got a story to tell as well too. And I believe that we all have a story to tell, and all of us can learn from each other and build get strength from each other, right? And one thing that I have already been kicking around in my head, because I have a little one, I have a 6-year-old still in the house, and then we got 2 teenagers, and we did it with the 2 teenagers a while back, a few years ago. But like I said, I live in an equestrian community, so we actually have a few horse rescues around here that are always looking for volunteers to come help clean the stalls, clean the horses, you know, exercise the horses. And us talking about this, for me, kind of reiterated, like, not reiterated, but like open my eyes to say, you know what, let's get off my ass, let's go take the kids out there, you know, even if it's just once a month or twice a month, to go out there and be around the animals. So thank you for reminding me about the special connection that we have as human beings with our fellow animals here on this earth. So thank you for that.
and like I said, everybody's different, and you got to find the animal that you want to connect with, or you feel more comfortable with.
Right. Awesome. All right, gentlemen. With that, Everyone have a good evening. Thank you all so much for being here with us this evening. And for those that are watching later on, thank you so much for tuning in. And like my partner Nate said at the beginning, if you've enjoyed what you've been listening to or seeing, please give us a like and a subscribe, and we really appreciate that. With that being said, good night, everyone.
Hey, don't forget the pictures.
Oh, right on. Yep.
Okay, hey,
All right.
now that